This is a Prontotec TouchSmart Series M1 8-inch tablet, and I'm going to run the benchmarking app just as a kind of a demonstration to kind of show you how it goes through that while I talk about it. Included with the tablet is a very basic instruction book, the AC adapter with a USB plug, and a micro USB cable. Again, the instructions I feel are pretty basic with this. I kind of wish they would put a little bit more detailed instructions concerning the features of the tablet, but if you're familiar with most tablets, then you should be able to feel your way around this one. It's because they're all basically the same as how they operate. The tablet itself has at the top here, let me take it off the stand I got here. The tablet itself has the power button at the top, the HDMI, the microcharging, the headphone port, and then like a back or return button, kind of like what you have on the on the tablet itself. The volumes controls are actually on the virtual tablet screen itself, along with the return, the home screen, and the last application setting. This is a budget level tablet, of course, but the specs are pretty decent for a budget level tablet. This is running the latest Android operating system currently, which is 4.4.2. It has a quad-core A7 processor, 1.2 gigahertz CPU, a gig of DDR3 RAM, 16 gigabytes of ROM. Has the capability with the micro slot, which I didn't point out, it's on the side, to add up to 32 megabytes of memory with the micro slot. 1024 by 768 screen set resolution, wireless capability. This is wireless in, and the one thing that my other tablets lack, budget tablets lack, is Bluetooth capability, which this one has. It also has a couple front and back cameras. They're nothing spectacular. They're a 0.3 megapixel front and a 2 megapixel rear camera. But again, with budget level tablets, you kind of temper your expectations, as I did with this particular tablet or any others that are in this price range, as there are compromises and won't have the capabilities of some of the higher end, higher price tablets like the latest iPad or Nexus type of tablet. Even though there's compromises for this tablet, this is a pretty capable tablet for its price nonetheless. It's a great basic web surfing, checking email, streaming video, playing some of the games. This tablet will do just fine. You don't have necessarily the speed or screen resolution or the camera resolution like the more expensive tablets. As you can see, it's going through some of the video resolution display of the test of the benchmarking. But this tablet's at 8 by 5.5 inches roughly, about a 1/4 inch thick in diameter. Actually, and it weighs about 11 ounces. I actually thought it was lighter and thinner than I actually expected it to be in comparison to my other budget level tablets that I have in this price range. The boot up time is pretty quick for this. It's decent at 27 seconds from hitting the power button. You hold that for 3 seconds to the lock screen, about 27 seconds. The touch screen is responsive, and I won't mess with this right now while it's running, but the touch screen is pretty responsive. It works as it should. Connected to my network, which is an AC band network with encryption, connected to that with no issues. It was very quick to connect. And one of the things I really like about this tablet, there's very little bloatware installed. Unlike other tablets, brand name and budget level alike, this had very little bloatware, if at all. Other than the basic Android operating system, there really wasn't much other than some old versions of some apps like Skype, Adobe Reader, and Maps, and just one game, Fruit Ninja, was really all that was on it. Not even Gmail, the Gmail app was installed on this. So, I like that, not having, a lot of bloatware and having a minimal amount. That way I could put whatever I want on it as I see fit. The one thing that was odd about this, though, and I don't know if this is a quirk with new tablets, I've never run across this before, is that the apps that were installed, such as Skype, Adobe Reader and Maps didn't detect in the Play Store as needing updates, even though they were old versions. So you had to basically go in and install them manually. Again, I don't know if that's a quirk with that or just new tablets in general. There's some setting changes that I recommend that you deal with first before you really play with this tablet, including the time zone. Mine was set to Beijing time. The internet homepage as well, mine was set to some Asian page, so unless you really want that, you might want to go in and change the default for that. You should disable the developer mode and disable the unknown sources settings for added security. With these types of tablets, you should really do that. I also recommend getting an antivirus app installed, which will also, a lot of them also kind of detect some recommended security changes as well, in addition to checking for viruses. This also had a gangland style type of video on it as well. I'll try to bring that up here, which is like a little demo video. It's only like a minute long, but there you go. That'll kind of demonstrate the video and the sound of this. Let me turn that off. But it has that on it if you want to get rid of that as well. I just found it kind of amusing that it had gangland style on it. But one of the earliest things I also did was check for updates for the device itself. There were no operating system updates, but there's also another software update button that's supposed to check for firmware. I don't know why it's called software update since it checks for firmware. But there was an issue with that. I could never get it to make a connection saying, the error it kept saying was that particular firmware update could not connect to the network. So I don't know if that's a problem with the Prontotec's network for firmwares for this device, or whether it means there's no firmware update, because my device worked fine otherwise on my network. So that was the only issue I had with that, a little quirk with that. The tablet itself charges within a couple hours. The battery life is pretty decent for a budget level tablet, giving me about 5 to 6 hours of use, depending on what you're doing, what you're using it for, and pretty decent standby time. Again, one of the things that I miss about my old tablets lack, budget tablets lack, was Bluetooth. And this, to my surprise, has Bluetooth capability. I tested it by connecting a good set of Bluetooth headphones. It found them quickly. It paired easily. The headphones sounded clear, and the range between the two was about 25 feet. Not great, not at the high end for Bluetooth range, but decent for again for a budget level tablet. Also, with this, I also add an 8 gig card in the spare slot. Because of the limited space that these budget tablets have, I always recommend that. But I initially tested this without any, additional. Let me keep the screen up there. Any additional memory installed, and had no issues with installing any of the apps. Streaming video from YouTube and that kind of thing worked as well as any tablet I've used. And again, you can see the screen for yourself, although, again, I'm using a cheap webcam here, so forgive me if it's not as clear as it should be. But it has decent resolution. Again, it's not going to match the high-end displays of the more expensive tablet, but at this price range, it's pretty good. And I'm not much of a tablet gamer, but most games should play on this fairly well, except for the more elaborate type stuff with no issues. Again, the sound, you heard that a little bit ago. It's okay for a tablet in this price range. A little underpowered, I think, but okay. The cameras, of course, are a compromise here with this tablet, with their lower resolutions. But for me personally, that's not a primary feature of a tablet that I'm going to use anyway, high end or low end. And again, so that's not a big thing for me. But that is a compromise in this price range. The tablet is quick with all the apps I've used on it so far. Hasn't slowed down or given me any issues. As you can see, it just successfully completed the benchmarking app and completed those tests with no issues. And according to that app, it runs about where you would expect a budget tablet. It's not going to compete with the high-end devices, but kind of puts it in the middle of the pack of all the price ranges. which is good for this type of tablet at this price range. Also, I've used it and it's not gotten hot at any time. I know some tablets kind of have that issue, but it didn't get hot for me at all. Although there's a few quirks with this tablet, this is a good basic tablet that works well for, internet surfers, checking email, internet video watching, music listening, that kind of thing. It'll some game playing as well. Again, you're going to be limited for some of the higher end apps and games, and you should probably install an SD card as well. But I like the fact that it has Bluetooth with it, something you don't see a lot of in this price range, and something my other budget tablets lack. I give this tablet 4.5 stars.